In order to be prepared for higher education, we need to take a glimpse into the world through the eyes of those living it. Hi, I'm your host, Ashreya Sirivol. I have questions about the future, which is why I am going to deep dive into the journeys of college students and graduates, exploring the majors and paths they've chosen. Welcome to Scholar Stories, the podcast, where we bring you practical advice and inspiring stories. In this episode, we're joined by Pramati Barath, a remarkable sophomore at the University of Washington studying neuroscience. A graduate from St. Francis High School in Mountain View, California, Pramati brings a diverse set of talents to the table, from tennis to both vocal and instrumental music. She has earned multiple awards at internationally acclaimed carnatic music competitions. Since her freshman year of high school, she is actively engaged in numerous internships and research projects. I'm eager to explore the journey of her experiences and achievements. Join me in welcoming Pramati.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Ashreya.
Of course. Can you begin by defining neuroscience for our listeners? And could you walk us through your journey to choosing this field? Was it a long-standing interest, or did something specific in high school spark your passion in neuroscience?
Yes, for sure. So I think neuroscience, put super simply, can be defined as the study of the nervous system, the brain, the spine, and everything in between that, in terms of their structure, their function, from their development to their degeneration, and in health and in disease. So in terms of my journey to choosing it as a major, I've always really been interested in science. It was my favorite subject all through elementary and middle school. And I really in particular enjoyed biology. I really grew up looking forward to science fairs every single year and so on and so forth. So when I got to high school, I took an intro psych class in my sophomore year. I really enjoyed the portions, especially relating to neurons and the brain and the spine. And when I took AP psychology the following year, we went into a lot more depth as a class on those units, and I came to learn that there was a whole major dedicated to its study, which is what kind of, inspired me to pursue it as a major.
Yeah, I also love science, and it's a science fair projects every year. So, speaking of neuroscience, the neuroscience program at the University of Washington is very competitive, only accepting 15% of applicants each year. How were you able to get in, and how has your experience been on the program?
Yeah, I'm very, very grateful to attend the University of Washington. It's been an amazing experience attending the past year. I think in terms of getting in, there's unfortunately just not one story. Everyone's story is super different. But I think in terms of your application, try and have a well-rounded one. I talked about a whole set of extracurriculars in addition to what I did in school, and also trying to further my passion for the subject throughout high school via various summer programs I did, or just taking more science-specific APs at school to kind of show just my passion for the subject, I'd say. And so far, my experience in the program has been nothing short of amazing, and I'm just so grateful for all the amazing faculty and staff at UW, and also the school's general focus on research, which is one of the main reasons that I chose to go. In addition to the neuroscience program, I'm also part of a research project at UW, so it's been amazing so far.
You were very well-rounded, and it's amazing that you're having a great time there. And I just wanted to ask, compared to California, is Washington and that area cold or rainy?
It's definitely pretty rainy, especially during the winter months. Didn't mind it at all during the fall and the spring. The seasons are really pronounced, so it's super pretty, but definitely rainy during the winter, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be beautiful. But speaking of programs at your college, I know that are a member of the Washington chapter of the Pi Delta Epsilon International Medical Fraternity. What is it, and how did you get that opportunity?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Phi Delta Epsilon or Phi DE, it's in a co-ed international medical fraternity. And basically, in order to become a part of Phi DE, you have to go through what's called the rush process, which I would say lasts around maybe 3 weeks to a month, all in all. You basically have to start off by attending large events to learn about the fraternity before you even start to rush, after which you go through group interviews and then one-on-one interviews, and then you are eventually selected to join the fraternity. And in terms of what the fraternity entails, there was a lot of like philanthropy efforts, which is what drew me to it. We get to do a lot of fundraisers for Seattle Children's, which is our local hospital, and we also through it are able to find volunteering opportunities, research opportunities, and the likes. I think overall it served to provide me with a wonderful community of people, especially being an out-of-state student and not really having many seniors in medicine that I can look up to. It's provided me with people I can ask about classes that I want to take or just about, general pre-med questions. So I really, really enjoyed being a part of it so far.
It's great that you found a community that you can rely on. So, other than college, music has been an integral part of your life. It is inspiring to see how you're still learning and teaching music to young kids like me in your spare time. You also volunteer at organizations like CCC that promote Carnatic music. How did that experience shape you, and are there any programs at your college that help you to continue Carnatic music?
Yeah, this is a really, really good question, but a pretty loaded one. So I guess I'll start with the first part of that, which is kind of how Carnatic music had shaped me. I think starting at such a young age, I started when I was like 4 years old. And so there's a lot to be said about just the discipline that comes with being a student of Carnatic music. I think sitting down to practice for long durations of time at, 4 or 5 years old was definitely not an easy task. But over the years, I've definitely built up that discipline. And I think I can carry that over to multiple areas of my life, even outside of music. I think that's a very important takeaway. And furthermore, getting to teach has just been like one of the best opportunities I could possibly have asked for, and I have my teachers at Sri Paduka Academy to thank for that. I've always really liked working with kids, but there's a lot to be learned when you teach. You really have to internalize material that you teach at a much higher level than when you initially learn it, so that you are able to teach that to another set of people. And so it really helped me to internalize my music further and to realize truly how passionate I am about it. I started to TA when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I think it was very fundamental in shaping me. Organizations like CCC, SRFA, there are so many across the Bay Area that promote Carnatic music to youth like me. It's really, really, we have to be super grateful for that community, because I think in terms of just developing my overall confidence, not even just as a student in music, just in general, it's been really huge. When you have to get up on stage by yourself and you have to present what you've learned, it can be really nerve-wracking, especially when you're like 6, 7 years old. But from like a 5-minute little concert slot to a 20-minute slot to a 30-minute slot to an hour and a half slot, building that, I think it really goes to show that when you work hard towards an art over many years, you can really see how that comes to fruition when you get more and more confident. I really look forward to my concerts now, and I started off being very, very terrified of getting on stage. So I think I have those organizations to thank. And just in terms of my overall confidence, I think it's really shaped me. And for the last part of that question, I am part of a South Asian fusion a cappella team at UW. It's called UW Awaz. And it's a competitive team, and we sing everything from pop to Bollywood to Carnatic fusion kind of music. And it's definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone a little bit. I never really sang Bollywood before college, but having a carnatic base, which a lot of people on the team have a carnatic foundation in their training, I think it really helps you to relate to other forms of music and gain somewhat of an understanding a little quicker because of how nuanced it is. So, yeah, that would be my answer to that.
I know that you are an amazing teacher, and I've learned so many songs from your learning modules. And it's great that you can continue because I always look forward to watching you performing on stage. Speaking of your teaching experiences, you were also a summer camp counselor for a month at St. Francis, your high school. For high schoolers wanting to do something similar, did you teach students and how did you get the opportunity?
Yeah, so I worked as a summer camp counselor at St. Francis. It was like a summer job, and it was awesome. Honestly, I love working with kids. I've been working with kids as a teaching assistant at my music school since I was 9 or 10, like I said. So I've always really enjoyed that experience, and I grew up playing tennis and just sports in general were a big part of my life growing up. So I really saw that opportunity to combine two things I love. And yeah, I coach students in various different sports, which was just such a fun time. I got that opportunity just by talking to coaching staff at St. Francis. I kind of knew that this was a camp and program that they did every single year, and I was really interested in getting involved. So I think if you're a high schooler wanting to do something similar, don't be afraid to just reach out to, staff at your high school that you know is involved and just express interest, and you never know where you could go from there.
Yeah, that's a great way to get opportunities. And you said that you were very involved in sports throughout your life. And I know that you were on the women's varsity tennis team at your high school, which is so cool. Did you spend a lot of time practicing and competing in tournaments? I'd love to hear about some of your accomplishments on the team and if you're still playing tennis in college.
Yeah. So as I said just now, like sports, tennis was such a huge part of my life growing up. I started playing when I was about 4 years old, and my passion and love for the sport only grew over time. I competed really frequently, like every single weekend I was at a tournament, and I played at the Northern California Section Championships. I played representing Northern California at a national tournament and also an individual national tournament setting. Moving into high school, right, I really wanted to continue. I was really happy to be selected to be on the varsity tennis team. And overall, once again, I have to bring in the community that I formed through that team. And it's truly some of the longest lasting friendships I've had through high school. We placed number one in our league, which is the WCAL League, all 4 years that I was on the team. And also won doubles player of the year, which was just a really, really nice achievement. And I'm so glad that, I was able to work towards that and accomplish that towards the end of my time playing on that team. I continue to play tennis in college on our club team, which is just been an awesome opportunity so that I'm able to focus on my studies while still like keeping in touch with the sport that I love. And it's definitely like a lower commitment, but it's also people that are super passionate and played competitively, during their high school years. So it's a great crowd to play with.
Those are some really reputed competitions that you played in and won in high school. So it's really awesome that you are able to continue that in college. Let's talk about some more of your time in high school. In your senior year, you participated in a clinical neuroscience virtual experience with Stanford Medicine. What did you do there and how did you get that chance?
Yeah, so the clinical neuroscience virtual experience was a summer program that I did before my senior year. It was an amazing experience through and through. I think the broader takeaway of the course was different applications of the subject of neuroscience, past just being a pre-med. It also explored applications in AI, applications of technology, and then, of course, applications in medicine. And I got to hear from a lot of people that were physicians, neurologists, neurosurgeons, so on, while also hearing from people that were more involved in AI and technology here in the Silicon Valley. and how they applied that same subject in various ways was really, really interesting to learn about. Additionally, I was part of a capstone group, and in that capstone group, we basically put together a project on any one aspect of the course that we found super interesting. So my group and I put together a capstone project on Huntington's disease. So it's through this course I for sure gained that confidence that I really wanted to be a neuroscience major, but also to be a pre-med. Found myself really interested in the pathophysiology of all these neurological disorders that we were learning about through the course. And it was definitely a really, really valuable opportunity. I'm very grateful I got to be part of it.
Yeah, that's so cool that you got practical knowledge about neuroscience. You were also the author of a research paper, while we're on the topic of that, which is titled Non-Pharmaceutical Treatments for Alzheimer's Disease. What was the process of writing that paper, and did you get any guidance while writing it?
Yes. So writing this research paper, I will say, was probably like an 8 to 9 month project I did. I did it through this academy called Polygens Academy, which you have to apply into. It's like through some essays and a video interview. But basically what happens is in that application, you indicate kind of what you are interested in researching, learning more about, writing about, and you get matched with a mentor that shares those same interests. And so I got matched with a mentor through Polygens who was doing a neuroscience PhD and had a lot of the same interests that I did. And she was really, really able to guide me. Also, as someone that had spent a lot of her undergraduate career in research, and she was doing a PhD at the time. And so she had a lot of experience in scientific writing and being new to that for me personally, right? So she was really able to guide me and really help me to start from scratch and gain an understanding of that world. And I'm very grateful for that. And so, yeah, the general process was really starting with the topic. The topic probably took the longest to narrow down on. We started pretty general, and then we work it down to, okay, we want to write about Alzheimer's, and then more specific than that, what about Alzheimer's? And then we had to put together a larger outline. Then I had to do my research and collect a lot of intel from sources and things like that, and then ultimately compile it. So that was like the general skeleton of a process that I followed. But definitely having her as a guiding figure, not only in writing my paper, but also as someone to just look up to and seek guidance from in terms of academia was just such a valuable experience.
That's super interesting, and it's amazing that you got such good guidance from your mentor. I also did a science fair project on Parkinson's disease, and I had to do a lot of research on that too. So I can imagine a little bit of the amount of work you have done. Were you also in any honor societies in high school? And if yes, how were you able to become a member?
Yeah, I was in the National Honor Society, which at my high school was a pretty straightforward process. I think at most high schools, you kind of just have to enter in your like grades and GPA, and then you get auto admitted if you pass a certain cutoff, I believe. So yeah, that's what I was involved with in high school.
Yeah, that's super cool. So, other than high school, what are your future plans or aspirations after completing your undergrad? And how do you see your experiences so far helping you achieve them?
So I'm currently pre-med, so it would be awesome to go to med school after completing my undergraduate degree. That's what I'm hoping to do. And in terms of my experiences so far, I really hope to build on them, but I'm part of research, which I really, really enjoy. And I'm currently training up to become an EMT, which I think will help experience-wise as well. Um, and in terms of just looking forward, I think like being an EMT, I'm already training up in like clinical settings and things like that. And I've already seen, like, unfortunately quickly for comfort, that people riding in an ambulance can sometimes be a lot more concerned about how they're going to pay for it as opposed to like their actual condition. And that's something that has already got me thinking, right? And I think it will just be a privilege to be a part of the next generation of physicians that works towards breaking down those barriers.
Medical costs in the US are definitely a problem, so it's so cool and amazing that you want to help that. And as we're talking about college, can you share what you think was the strongest thing on your college application?
I think maybe two parts to this. The first, I would say that I'm pretty proud of my personal statement. I spent a lot of time working on it and I went through a lot of different iterations of it, getting feedback from my counselor, my parents, my English teacher, and I really, really went through a lot of rounds of it to get it as close to what I liked. And the other thing is, most of my extracurriculars I'd been doing for a really long time. Like tennis, I started playing when I was 4. I started singing when I was 4. I think showing that long-standing commitment towards those activities, I tied into having a commitment for everything that I can do in the future when I'm determined and set my mind to. So I would say those two things.
Yeah, that's really great that you were able to put those long-standing extracurriculars on your application. And you mentioned a counselor. Did you get that help externally or from school, and were they helpful?
Yeah, I had both in high school counselor and I also had an external counselor. I would definitely say it's really, really great to have that support. I definitely turned to them for advice in terms of just putting my list together of colleges I was applying to, writing essays. It's always great to have an experienced set of eyes look over your application, especially when you're in the midst of applying to so many schools and things get repetitive for you. It's very helpful to have a fresh set of eyes look at them. So I definitely say it was helpful, yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice for people like me who don't know whether to get a counselor externally or not. And as we're talking about college applications, did you take the SAT or the ACT? And what do you think is a good score on those standardized tests for applying to the University of Washington?
I took the ACT. I think what test you take just depends on your personal preference. The ACT is like a lot of questions in a little amount of time. I prefer to focus for, a concentrated time duration and just knock them out. But yeah, that's just personal preference. I think score wise, unfortunately, like there's statistically there are scores, but in reality, every single person's story is different. And the score I would not say is definitive. Frankly, I think test scores are decreasing in significance as we go on with UCs being test blind altogether. So I think pick the test that you think is best suited for you. Take a diagnostic. I highly recommend that. That's what I did. You can just take a diagnostic test and it'll tell you like what test you're better suited for. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. As we wrap up, do you want to share any final words of encouragement for students applying to college?
I think if there's like one thing I would say, it's just to enjoy everything you do. I can look back and I can confidently say that everything I did was something I really wanted to do, something I really enjoyed doing. I'm very lucky to have parents and teachers all throughout my life that have just supported me in doing what I like to do. And I think that when you're truly really passionate about what it is you're doing, it doesn't feel as much as a chore. It feels like something you genuinely want to do, right? You're more likely to set aside time, plan ahead than you are to procrastinate if it's something that you genuinely wake up looking forward to do. So that's what I would say. That's what I've tried to do, and that's what I try to do now.
Yeah, you are very multi-talented. Before we close, what's your favorite way to enjoy yourself when you have free time or need a break from studying?
I think hands down, either singing, playing the violin, or just listening to music. And also physical exercise. I love working out. I love going on a run to clear my head. It always, doing any of these things, it helps me come back to the task at hand refreshed for sure.
Yeah, those are amazing ways to let off steam. Pramati, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today. Your journey through neuroscience, music, and athletics is extraordinary, and I will continue looking up to you. I'm confident that with your dedication and passion, you will be able to go very far at the University of Washington and beyond. Remember, the journey to college is unique for everyone, and exploring different majors and career paths can open up exciting possibilities. Keep asking questions, stay curious, and don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to stay tuned for more inspiring stories from different college students and graduates. Until next time, this is Ashreya Sirivol signing off from Scholar Stories.